Hello there.
Hello.
Is it Mr. Heap?
It is, yes.
Mr. C.Heap. Right.
Very nice of you to see me.
Okay. Now this is your chance to shine. They all know that you like to talk a lot, so the stage is all yours.
Right.
So we're going to do an interview. People have been asking a bit of information about yourself, and I thought this is the best way to tell the world a bit more. So start off with career. When did you get into optics?
I started in optics in 1989.
Right, so quite a while then, before I was born. What did you do before optics?
I was in catering. I left school and started working at a hotel in Lichfield, and I worked there for a few years. Then I moved to North Wales and worked at a large hotel in Wales.
Wales?
In North Wales, in Llandudno.
Right.
It was actually, and it still is, the largest hotel in North Wales.
How long did you work there for?
Just a couple of years. I was the head sommelier while I was there, which is the head wine waiter.
So in catering, we're talking about a chef?
No, really, I was back of the house. I'm at the front of the house. I started off as a commis waiter, and in the time I was there, I worked up to third in charge in the restaurant.
And do you have a signature dish?
I do, but not from there, because that was not as chefing.
Tell everybody what you like to make.
Well, probably one of the most popular dishes I make is a soup, and it's carrot, apple and celery soup.
Right. Not for everyone.
No, but it's good for vegetarians, vegans, but it's a very hearty soup, so even for the meat eaters like myself, it fills you up.
Right, okay, brilliant. Right, what is the longest time you have worked for a single employer in your optical career?
15 years. When I left catering, I went to work there, and I was actually taken on as the optical sales rep initially to cover Ireland and Scotland, and that was all of Ireland, north and south.
So you've travelled a bit, haven't you?
Just a little.
So how did you go from catering to optics? Did someone mention it or suggest it?
When I was in partnership in a restaurant in Aldridge, and the owner of the restaurant, my business partner, had a stroke, so we decided it was either I bought his shares or we sold the restaurant. So we decided we'd close the restaurant and sell up.
Right.
And one of my regular customers offered me some employment, and I'd really liked the idea of travelling, so I took the job.
So it's Llandudno, we've done Aldridge, we've done Lichfield, we've done Ireland.
And Scotland.
Where you haven't been, yeah. When did you qualify as an optician, please?
My qualification was in 2010. I started my course in 2007.
So it's a 3-year course?
It was, but it was distance learning, so I was working full-time and doing the course at the same time.
Right, okay. That's good. Have you ever had your own business in either optics or any other occupation? I mean, now with the catering you did.
Yeah, so I had my own restaurant. That was for a few years. I also had an optician's, my own practice, C.Heap Opticians, in Bilston, but I only had that for a couple of years.
Yeah. And then I think YouTube came along after, and then
after that, yes.
You didn't have to do that so much, did you? Right. So where did you study?
I studied in the Garden of England, Kent. It was in a town called Godmersham, just outside Canterbury. And in fact, I went to Canterbury Cathedral for my graduation.
Right, and what's it like there?
Oh, it's posh. Very grand.
Perfect for us Midlanders, eh?
Yes.
Right, here's a good one. Moving on. How did you get into doing ASMR videos?
Well, I met SRP. I took him on as my optometrist in my practice, and we became very good friends. And then when SRP decided that he was going to do the videos and it took off for him, he then invited me to come and try.
I think it was about 2014, 2015, wasn't it, that I worked for you?
Yes, we shut the practice in September 2016. And it was a couple of years. Well, in 2021 I started in ASMR.
Is that
My
that long
first,
ago?
my first video I released on my daughter's 16th birthday on the 25th of May, 2021.
May 2021.
Yeah,
So it's over 3 years.
yeah.
Because I started in end of 2019, well September 2019.
But 2 days after I released that video, I moved down to Shell Island. And on Shell Island, I was, well, in fact, you went there for a holiday and we did a couple of videos while I was out there.
2021.
Yes.
Crazy.
But I was living out there, working in the camp shop on the site for that season.
Shell Island, that's another place to add off.
Yep. Well, that's
Tick
just
off.
North Island. That's just
Kent.
North Wales again.
Northern Wales. Good. Right. Sticking with YouTube, what is your best video and why?
I did one in fact, I released it on the 1st of December 2022, and it was making bespoke glasses. And in fact, I was measuring you for those glasses. The reason I like it so much is because I got to practice the skills that I never get to use on measuring all the facial measurements to make glasses that have not been made
And
before.
that's what taught me.
Yes.
And I started looking into facial measurements. Obviously I'm not a DO, but we have to know some. But when you started doing videos of head and face measure, it got me into it.
It's been my most viewed video.
How many views?
It's had 586,000 and something, which is not bad for me.
How much money is that?
About £1,700.
You are honest.
But of course that's over 3 years, so it's not a lot over the time. But I have now done 100 videos, counting my shorts as well.
Flies by, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How did we meet up? I've got here.
Well, I was looking for an optometrist, and I took my father for his diabetic screening to Boots Opticians in Burntwood. And I happened to mention that I was looking for an optometrist, and they recommended you. So I got in touch with you, and thankfully you came and saw me, and you was happy to come and work for me. But actually I would say it was more like you came to work with me rather than for me, which is a far better situation. And of course we struck up a big friendship then as well.
So would that have been 2013, 2014?
2014.
So we've known each other 10 years now, haven't we?
Yeah.
Give or take.
Yeah.
Probably longer. Right, this is just revisiting what you've already mentioned. Some of your videos are on Shell Island. Were you on holiday there when you made those videos?
No, I was actually I was camping there for 5 months. That was the season.
Working and living there?
Yeah. I worked in the camp shop.
Did you do any crabbing?
Lots. We caught. There was one day when the bucket wasn't big enough for the amount of crabs we caught.
Well, we did a little bit when we came to see with the girls, and we caught like this greeny coloured crab. Well,
there was a lot of them about, and that was in the harbour on Shell Island, wasn't it?
Yeah, because obviously the tide comes up and it becomes isolated, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Right, here we go. Hobbies or interests?
I've got a couple of hobbies. One of them is tie collecting, so I'm a grabatologist. I like Monopoly. I've got a collection of Monopoly games. And in fact, I've just ordered Monopoly Christmas lampoons.
Right. I'm just thinking, you've got some other interests, haven't you?
I have.
You like dining out?
Definitely. That was what I was going to come up with next. I like real ales as well. And of course, whiskey. I collect whiskies.
Of course. And have you done a lot of videos on your collection, haven't you?
Yes.
Right, leisure here. Where have you been on your holidays, and what was your best holiday? Have you done any overseas travel?
Yes. I'm going to say my best one last. So the first thing I'll mention is I've been on holiday to Ireland. Despite the fact I used to work over there as well, I've been on holiday to Ireland.
Did you go to Craggy Island and see Father Ted?
We did actually. We didn't see Father Ted, but we did go to Craggy Island.
Is it an actual island? I thought it was fictitious.
No, it's a village. It's a different name to the village.
Right.
But all the filming is around that village.
No way.
I've been to mainland Spain. I've been to Gibraltar. I've been to Mallorca, Tenerife,
So mostly a lot. You've done a lot of Spain, haven't you?
Lanzarote, Gran Canaria.
So you've done the Canary Islands.
Yeah, Cyprus. And I've visited almost every Greek island on a cruise. That
So
was
there's a
my
lot of Greek
honeymoon.
islands, isn't there?
Yep, that was in 2002, in August. So it was the height of the hot weather as well.
2002.
Yeah, that was when I got married and we went there for our honeymoon. And I would recommend a cruise to anybody.
All right.
They had a target. They said if you wanted to eat all day, the restaurants on the ship, you could have 17 meals in a day.
You took up the challenge.
I took up the challenge, but I only managed 12.
Right.
I ran out of time.
Did they run out of calamari and olives? Did they?
No, not the olives. I don't tend to eat the olives much. But they had the best midnight buffet ever.
Well, that's a good segue to the next question. Do you have any favourite cuisine?
My favourite cuisine is what I actually had when I used to cook in the restaurant, and that was French cuisine. And that's where things like frog's legs and snails,
Right.
and probably the most popular dish in the restaurant was pantade flambée, which is guinea fowl flamed in gin and cooked in a white wine sauce.
But the thing for me is a lot of French dishes, they have this reputation of being foul food, but it's on the contrary. I like the breads and the cheeses.
Yes.
When it comes to
My
France.
restaurant, it was a 5-course meal. If you booked your table, you was there for a minimum of 3 hours. It was not
Right.
something you rushed. Your 5 courses were spread out over that time.
All right.
So it wasn't a case of as soon as you're finished, everything's cleared away and the next course is out before you can bat an eyelid, including down to the fact that when it came to your main course, you had a 15-minute compulsory wait before you received your main course. That was after your sorbet.
Right.
So that was clearing your palate and making room for your main course.
We don't get service like that anymore these days, do you? It's in
No,
and out.
they want you rushed out.
Increase the prices and reduce the quantity and quality of the ingredients, isn't it, these days?
Yes.
Right, we're going to jump back to your whiskey collection now. So we know you have a vast collection from your videos. What's your favourite whiskey and why?
My favourite is one made in South Wales, and it's called Penderyn, and it's actually called Penderyn Legend. It's a very mild flavour, but in saying that, it's a strong mild flavour, not too smoked.
Is that a definitely maybe flavour then?
It's a definite maybe.
Is it?
Definitely, yeah.
We're going to have to agree to disagree on that.
There's different countries of whiskey I've had.
Well, how many have you tried?
Well, the different countries I've tried, I've had Indian,
Indian?
Indian whiskey. John Paul is an Indian whiskey.
Right.
I've got some Japanese whiskey. Obviously American. Now, most people think that all American whiskey is bourbon, but actually Jack Daniel's is whiskey mash. I've had English, Scottish, Welsh, Irish. I've had lots of different Irish whiskies.
So do you collect them when you've worked in these different places as well?
Yes.
Is that where you've picked them up?
Well, now I've picked them up when I've found them.
In Morrison's?
Well, now I go to distilleries when I go on holiday. So when I've been to Scotland for a holiday, I've visited, at the very least, I've visited one distillery.
Right. They say here comes the peahead. Get all the bottles out.
And if they haven't got any nice whiskies there, I might get something like a mead.
So as long as the whiskey isn't peaty, I'm not a fan of peaty.
No, I'm not so keen on a peaty whiskey. In fact, when we did that video with the whiskey tasting, there was no peaty whiskies in that.
No. And I'm a big fan of the, I know it's a mainstream, but the cherry one that you had.
Oh yes, but that's a bourbon, a Red Stag bourbon. And it's maraschino cherry.
Very nice, that one is. Right, slightly off topic here. A bit alternative.
Yeah.
What animal would you like to be and why?
I'd like to be a Boston Terrier, because I've got two of them and they always seem to have a lot of fun.
Okay, good. Right, if offered a Rolls Royce or a Mini, which would you take and why?
I would take the Rolls Royce, not to be a capitalist, but because I could sell the Rolls Royce and buy 2 Minis and still have money left.
Well, that's why you call Mr. C.Heap,
Yeah.
isn't it? Mr. Cheap. You know a bargain when you see one, don't you?
Oh yeah.
What about a Ferrari or a Lamborghini then?
If I was given the choice between the two, I'd have the Lamborghini.
Lambo. What about Jaguar or Aston Martin? You could be James Bond for the day.
I'd definitely have an Aston Martin. That's my favourite car of all time.
Is it?
Yeah. I have actually driven an Aston Martin Lagonda, which is the longest body they ever had. The Lagonda was a separate make, but at one time it was being made by Aston Martin in the 1980s. This particular one was, I'd befriended somebody from Chapman Spooner & Co. In fact, it was Andrew Chapman, the boss man, and he had to do a test drive on this one from his customer in Germany. So he let me have a go at it on the halfpenny green airport.
Did you crash?
Oh, thankfully no.
Did you spin off the road?
Nope, it was pretty good.
He wasn't doing it
We
right.
had to get the car up to 100 miles an hour because that was when the guy had noticed a problem, and so it had to be tested off-road.
Right. I think we've covered this when you've got two dogs, two Boston Terriers. What are their names?
Poppy and Luna.
Right. And I think you discovered not too long ago that Poppy has a condition. What's that?
Well, she's just had dental surgery. She's had 18 teeth removed.
She got canine epilepsy.
I was just going to come to that one. She does have a slight epilepsy. It's controlled with drugs, but she still has the occasional fit.
Okay, do you like to read?
Yes. I read quite a lot.
Do you read Playboy?
No, it's not magazines. I've got a favourite author called Jack Higgins. And it is fiction, but I call it factual fiction because it's all about things that have happened in real life. And I'll use a good example. He's done a book called On Dangerous Ground. And that one is the start of the first Gulf War. And somebody was commissioned to, first of all, to attack Margaret Thatcher. And he failed on that.
Right.
So he had an alternative target, and that was to attack number 10 Downing Street during the war cabinet. So he devised a mortar to fire at the...
So are these crime espionage type?
Well, these are true events, but they're not necessarily the way that he explains them in the book, because a lot of the details were never released.
Is it first person or third person? How's it written?
It's just written as a story, and he's got his own...
So he doesn't refer to himself in the story as the main character, it's third person. Right.
Yeah. So his main character, for example, and that was his first one for that main character, was to... no, that was his second. That was his first, because he wasn't working for the British intelligence at that point. He was an ex-IRA enforcer, and he was commissioned to do the attacks. But because somebody was on his trail all the way through, he had to rush it. If he'd have had more time, he would have got the fins on the mortars more accurate, and he would have succeeded.
So are these quite suspenseful, cat and mouse type books?
Yeah, definitely, definitely crime, definitely espionage.
Right. I've never read Jack Higgins.
I shall have to let you borrow a couple of the books.
Right, moving on, we've covered those two there. They've kind of encompassed what we've already discussed. So a bit about you. Are you a morning person or a night person?
I'm definitely a morning person.
Yeah.
I like to get up early, but I'd rather go to bed early and then get up early.
Right. And I'm more the opposite. Do you like hot or cold drinks?
I prefer hot drinks, unless it's alcohol.
So you don't heat your whiskey up, do you?
Sometimes I do.
Yeah.
Or sometimes have a hot toddy. Buy a cheap whiskey and have it as a hot toddy.
Right. Hot curries or mild curries?
I like hot curries.
I was going to say that. What's your favourite dish?
Probably a madras.
A madras.
Yeah, and I'm not bothered what meat's in it or what fish.
We've covered this. Lager or real ale drinker?
Definitely a real ale drinker.
What's your favourite brand?
I haven't got a favourite brand on real ales. I go in and I see what they've got, and if I'm drinking enough in there, I'll try every one that they've got.
In one sitting?
Yeah. Well, some of the pubs you go in and you can have a third of a pint.
Right.
You can have 3/3 of a pint.
I never knew that.
So you've got 3 different types. Usually in Marston's pubs.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they have a lot of real ales, do they?
They have a few.
It's because I don't know too much about real ale, I'm more lager if I have anything.
Yeah. That's the reason I asked that question.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, carry on.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I think we've covered
Is that
everything, haven't we?
I can't think of anything myself. We've covered your life story there. You had a good natter, haven't you?
I have, yeah. You know, that's my favourite hobby.
Yeah. Oh, right. What? I'll refer to you as Peter Griffin. Any other characters?
Homer Simpson.
Right. Keith Chegwin?
Oh yeah, when I was doing my dispensing optician course, the main lecturer there would always referred to me as Cheggers.
So Peter Griffin.
And then she used to tell me she used to fancy Keith Chegwin when she was a schoolgirl.
Right. Fortunately, we've lost him, haven't we, Keith?
Yeah.
Right. Any other characters, or are those your 3 main ones?
That's my 3 main ones.
Right. Okay.
I have got other characters that I use in ASMR.
Right.
So Dr. Seymour Clearly.
Yeah, that's your alter ego?
It is, yes.
Clearly with a K, I believe.
Yes. And Seymour is S-E-Y.
Yep.
Yep.
Right, I think that's it. Thank you for coming in today and sharing a little bit
Thank
about
you.
yourself.
I'm pleased that you wanted to know.